right, it's taken me 56 years to learn the 5 mindset hacks that I'm about to share with you right now. I've learned these from running 100-mile races to scaling a company to over $5 billion in sales that ultimately I sold to Warren Buffett's NetJets. They changed everything: how I lead, how I parent, how I show up, and you can implement these 5 strategies immediately. The 5th one I'm gonna share is the most important lesson I've learned in the past decade, so wait for it. All right, the first mindset lesson I learned the hard way, is to expect the pain. When I had Marquis Jet, private jet company that my partner and I started, sales reps used to come back from meetings and I would be like, well, how'd it go? And they're like, oh, it's tough. I'm like, what happened? Like, they beat me up on competition. They beat me up on price. And I'm like, what'd you expect? You're a sales rep. Your job is to sell. They're a customer. Their job is to push back. What did you expect? Nobody is gonna cruise through life like this. There's always gonna be major challenges. Like, you are gonna experience pain. You are gonna experience discomfort. You are gonna experience challenges. And I think it's really important that you expect the pain. When you're running a long race, I'm an endurance runner. I'm running a 100-mile race. The reason why a lot of people quit long races is because when they get to mile 30, 35, 40, 45, it gets really hard. And I'm like, what did you expect? It's a 100-mile race. It's gonna hurt. When that pain comes, it's like, hey, pain, that's all you have? What took you so long to get here? So when you have challenges, when you have things, hurdles that come your way, expect it. It's coming. Embrace it, and then deal with it. Number 2, there's an old saying that I love. How you do anything is how you do everything. It's the small decisions that we make every day that have the biggest impact on our life. They create an environment in our head of what it is we're becoming. So I'll give you an example. The other day I was playing with my son. I was hosing him down with a hose. My wife called me for dinner, so I dropped the hose. I run in and I'm like, I'll get that hose tomorrow. It's just a hose. That's not just a hose. That's an example of what I'm becoming. Lazy, I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe somebody will pick the hose up for me. There are decisions like that all the time, that small decisions that we make every day. But how we handle those decisions impact and create an environment in our head of what we're becoming. A finisher or someone that puts something off till tomorrow. Establish winning habits now. Number 3, the limits that we put on ourselves are self-imposed. Several years ago, I had a Navy SEAL that came and trained me and lived with myself and my family for 30 days. I wrote a book about it called Living with the SEAL. One of the first things that we did was we went down to the pull-up bar to see how strong I was so we could map out a training program for the 30 days he was gonna be with us. So I got to the pull-up bar and I did like 6 or 7 pull-ups. It's probably a lie, probably did like 4 or 5. I dropped down, he said, all right, wait 30 seconds, do it again. So I waited 30 seconds, got up on the pull-up bar, I did like 2 or 3 pull-ups, I dropped down, he said, all right, wait 30 seconds, do it again. I got like 1, barely got like my last chin up, I dropped down, I said, okay, cool, what's next? He said, what's next is we're not leaving here until you do 100 more. And I was like, 100 more? That's impossible. And he immediately said to me, Jesse, I already know what your biggest problem is, what our biggest problem is. The limits that you put on yourself are self-imposed. And I'm gonna prove it to you right now. Get back on the pull-up bar and give me a pull-up. So I got back on the pull-up bar, I did 1, I dropped down, he goes, all right, walk around the gym, come back and do it again. So I walked around the gym, came back, did a pull-up, walked back. I repeated that for like 2 hours until I got 100 pull-ups. And I thought to myself, if I'm leaving 100 pull-ups on the sideline in this little exercise, if I'm under-indexing, what are the areas of my life am I under-indexing in? So if like my sales quote at Marquis Jet was 20 jet cards for the month at that time, maybe it should be 40. He actually had a rule called the 40% rule. And his rule was, and he's genius for this, that when your brain says you're done, you're only at 40%. And that's something that I thought about in every aspect of my life. Set your bar higher. When you see people that can do incredible things, there's no reason that you can't do them too. Number 4, aim high. This is so important. My wife was on a show called The Rebel Billionaire with Richard Branson. It was like his version of The Apprentice, where all these entrepreneurs got together to do these like world record-setting stunts. And if you didn't accomplish them, you got eliminated from the show. One of the first challenges that they had, they went up on a hot air balloon and you had to jump from one plank of a hot air balloon and catch a ladder. So you would jump across and try to grab the ladder, but if you missed the ladder, you would plummet hundreds hundreds of feet on a bungee cord kind of thing. It was crazy. It was the craziest thing ever. Athletic people, they would jump across and they would just miss, and then they would fall hundreds and hundreds of feet. And when it was my wife's turn, she went and she caught the bar, and everybody was freaking out. And they're like, how did you do it? I noticed that everybody else, when they were jumping, were looking at the handlebar across that they wanted to grab. I looked 5 feet higher. She jumped, she went higher, and then she grabbed the bar a little bit lower and was able to accomplish it. It's true of everything. You want to set your bar high, and if you fall a little short, you're probably still going to achieve more than you would have if you didn't aim high. Whatever your goals are, double them. You have a business plan, double it. You want to run a mile, aim to run 2. Set your bar a little bit higher and you're going to shatter your goals. And number 5, nothing's had a bigger impact on my life than what I'm going to share with you right now. You can master it in 5 minutes or less. You can teach it to your kids in 5 minutes. You can leave here and implement in 5 minutes or less. If they told me 10 years ago, I would have said ridiculous, hokey, no way. I'm an endurance athlete, and a couple of years ago, I was training for a race called the Last Man Standing. It's a 4.2 mile loop. You have an hour to run it, and if you finish it within an hour, like 50 minutes, you can get a 10-minute break because they line you up again at the top of the hour to run the loop again, and they repeat that till one person is left standing. So during my training, I did 10 training runs of 38 miles, and every time I got to 38 miles, I stopped, and that was my limit. But then I heard of a Navy SEAL, a guy by the name of Chad Wright, an incredible mindset guy. Chad's an endurance athlete, and I heard on a podcast he had met someone that only run 5 miles and took him all the way to the finish line by having him repeat, I won't quit, I won't quit, I won't quit. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, the guy that ran 5 miles just ran 120x his longest run by saying, I won't quit. I want to 20x everything in my life. So I cold called this guy, Chad Wright, former Navy SEAL. Ended up setting up a meeting with him, told him I was stuck at 38 miles. That's what I was doing in my training runs. And he said, I can solve that for you in a day. And he told me one thing, I'll never forget it. He said, the one thing that I want you to do is never give your pain a voice. What? What does that mean, Chad? She said, I know you're going to be thinking during these runs, I'm tired, or I have blisters, or this is hard, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, you're going to be like, I don't have enough experience, competition's too tough, I'm not good at sales. Like, we're going to have these thoughts, but never speak those words. Because once you speak those words, you give them power. He said, if I ask you how you feel today during your run, I want you to just say one thing. I feel outstanding. So throughout that training run, where we were trying to be 38 miles, he'd be like, how do you feel? I'd be like, I feel outstanding, Chad. I feel outstanding. 30 days later, I did a 100-mile run called the Hennepin 100 miler. I got to mile 75. Chad was running it with me, and I was having a really difficult time. 6 toenails floating around in my shoe, hypothermia. It was over. I start walking, and Chad starts walking next to me. He says, Jesse, I'm going to tell you something about me, man, that nobody knows. He goes, it's crazy, but I never get tired. I was like, come on, Chad. It's like, nah. He's like, I want you to say it. But I was so broken at that moment, I couldn't. But I did say it over and over, and we started running again. And from mile 80 to 85 to 90, I'm like, Chad, I feel outstanding. I don't get tired. I feel outstanding. I'm outstanding. All the way to the finish line of a 100-mile race. So the words that you speak matter. And when you speak words, you give them power. So be very, very careful of the words that you speak. Chad said it best. He said, your mouth is your rudder, and the words that you speak guide you. That's been a hack that I've been using since I met Chad, and it really works. Don't give your pain a voice. I feel outstanding. So those are 5 things that I've been using over the last decade or 2 that have really helped me in my mindset. When you create winning mind, winning routines, and a winning habit, the floodgates open. And mindset is the backbone of all those things. Those are 5 mindset hacks that anyone here can use, and they're free.